All right, let's dive right into the core ideas of Morgan Housel's fantastic book, The Psychology of Money. We're going to explore how our personal experiences, our biases, and our emotions, not just some numbers on a spreadsheet, are what truly shape how we earn, save, invest, and spend our money. So here's the game plan for this explainer. We'll start by unpacking your own personal financial story, then we'll build on that with the core principles of financial psychology. After that, we'll uncover some of the unseen forces behind wealth, learn how to navigate uncertainty, and finally craft a personal philosophy that you can actually put into practice today.
Okay, so the main idea of the book is actually pretty simple, but it's also really profound. Our relationship with money has way more to do with psychology than it does with spreadsheets. By kind of peeling back these layers, you're going to get a much clearer picture of your own financial story and discover some principles you can apply right away. Whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned investor, there's some really rich insights and practical takeaways in here for everyone. So let's start this journey. First up, let's lay the groundwork. We're going to build the concepts we need to really understand our financial minds, covering the first 5 chapters of the book. Housel kicks things off with a simple truth. No one's crazy. Our financial decisions, even the ones that look weird from the outside, they always make sense when you see them through the lens of our own unique experiences. It's a great reminder to approach all this with a bit of empathy. Then, he gets into luck and risk, showing how they're basically 2 sides of the same coin. The very same force that can lead to incredible success can also lead to total ruin.
In today's world of constant social comparison, it's so easy to get caught on that hamster wheel of just wanting more and more. What's the antidote? Well, it's defining what enough actually means for you. Having that sense of contentment is absolutely crucial for long-term success. And that brings us to the magic of compounding. Housel shows that it's not about landing huge, flashy wins. Nope, it's about consistency over a long, long time. That's where real wealth is built.
So what's the most important point about long-term success? It's this. Getting wealthy often means taking risks and being optimistic. But, and this is a big but, staying wealthy, that demands something totally different. It requires restraint, skepticism, and an almost paranoid focus on protecting what you have. This dual skill set, being brave enough to chase opportunities and humble enough to guard your gains, is super rare, but it's absolutely essential.
Okay, so to wrap up this first section, when you see a financial decision that just seems nuts, ask yourself, what personal history could explain this? You've got to build a margin of safety and just accept the role that luck plays. Write down your enough number. Seriously, start early, invest regularly, and let compounding do its thing. And finally, make sure you're balancing your desire for growth with the need for protection.
Now, let's build on that foundation. In this next part, we're going to explore the unseen forces that define what true wealth is all about. The things that money can buy that aren't visible to the naked eye.
This illustrates a really powerful concept, tail events. Housel explains that a massive chunk of all stock market gains happens on just a handful of really good days. If you're not in the market on those days, you miss out big time. And what's the reward for sticking it out? The ultimate prize, freedom. The ability to control your own time. That is the greatest dividend money could ever offer.
And that idea connects perfectly to what he calls the man-in-the-car paradox. We chase after luxury items thinking people will admire us, but they rarely admire the object itself. Instead, they imagine themselves having the freedom that object represents. And this leads right to the next point. What you see is just spending. That's not wealth. Real wealth is the income you didn't spend, the money that's tucked away in savings and investments.
And all of this brings us to the single most powerful driver of financial independence. Just saving money. I mean, think about it. Unlike some complex investing strategy, your savings rate is completely within your control, and that's true no matter how much money you make.
So, the takeaways here are crystal clear. Keep cash for emergencies, but stay invested to capture that unpredictable upside. Live below your means so you can build a schedule that isn't dictated by money. And before you make a big purchase, ask yourself, am I buying status or am I buying freedom? Track your net worth, not just your lifestyle. And please, prioritize your savings rate over chasing crazy high returns.
Okay, now let's talk about how to build a financial plan that can actually weather a storm. Because let's be real, the future is always a surprise. A perfectly optimized, mathematically brilliant plan that you ditch at the first sign of trouble? That's way worse than a good enough strategy that you can actually stick with. Your financial rules have to be ones you can live by, especially when your emotions are running high. And since every forecast is basically a guess, The only way to deal with uncertainty is to just assume you're going to be wrong more often than you think. It's also so important to remember that you are going to change. Your values, your goals, they're going to evolve over the decades. A plan that's too rigid might look great on paper, but it'll crumble under the weight of real life. And finally, nothing's free. Every single advantage in the market has a cost. We have to ask not just what's the return, but also what am I willing to pay for it in stress and sleepless nights?
So, to sum up this mindset, design a plan you'll actually follow. Stress test your assumptions and then add some extra wiggle room. Slap a margin of safety onto every projection you make, schedule annual financial check-ins to adjust for how your life is changing, and always balance what you hope to earn with your own personal comfort level for risk. Okay, with all those principles in our back pocket, we can now shift from talking about general rules to crafting a financial philosophy that is uniquely 100% yours. Your friends, your upbringing, how much time you have, all of these things create a financial fingerprint that's as unique as your actual one. Hauser really warns against comparing your journey to anyone else's. At the same time, we have to fight against the seduction of pessimism. I mean, pessimistic stories sound so smart and urgent, right? But the actual data from history shows that innovation and growth have consistently lifted our standards of living for centuries. You know, the real art of managing money is weaving patience, frugality, optimism, and humility all together into one coherent approach. When you get them balanced just right, they create a really robust way to build wealth. And then, in a pretty honest ending, Housel shares his own screw-ups, which is a great reminder that learning from our mistakes is really the cornerstone of wisdom.
So the key points for building your own philosophy are these. Draft a personal mission statement for your money. Track real-world numbers that show your progress. Before you act on some hot tip, actively look for arguments against it. Every so often, do an audit of your financial behaviors. And hey, embrace your mistakes. They're not failures, they're invaluable data for making better decisions in the future.
Phew, we've covered a ton of ground. So now for the final practical part. This is all about empowering you to take this wisdom and apply it right away. Okay, 5 simple steps. First, journal your money story. Figure out the key experiences that shaped your beliefs. Second, define enough by setting real, concrete targets. Third, automate your savings and investments for consistency. Fourth, build buffers. Have an emergency fund. Be conservative with your assumptions. And fifth, cultivate humility by always challenging your own beliefs. And that brings us right to the end. After exploring all these powerful ideas about our relationship with money, the most important question isn't one that I can answer for you. It's the one you have to ask yourself. Now that you have the tools, which part of your own financial story are you going to rewrite first?